bullshit in the wintertime.
It's
so much.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, how do you deal with New York?
Bro, this is my first winter in New York. Like, I've only been there a year.
That's right. I forgot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had to layer up. The wild shit, so, like, I'm from Cali.
Yeah.
Right? And so there we don't really have winter for real. So, like,
which part of California?
Bay Area.
Okay.
So I grew up in San Jose, lived in San Francisco. So, like, I'm not used to the cold for real.
Yeah.
And, like, everyone in New York would talk about how, oh, the winter's so bad, and blah, blah, blah. And I lost so much respect for anyone who said the winter's terrible. Because, like, you know how it is, like, comedy, I was out there barking for, like, 2 hours, 4 hours a night. Like, in the winter time, bro, like, standing there, and it sucked ass. Like, if you're just walking around, like, what are we worried about? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, anyway, winter wasn't that bad outside of, like, when I was outside trying to sell tickets at midnight on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And it's, like, 12 degrees.
I can't speak on Bay Area because I'm from Southern California. I don't know. You guys' weather's it changes up a little bit. You got rain, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See, we don't have that rain, that water stuff. We ain't got that.
Bro, LA. Water?
Mm-hmm.
The fuck is water?
Water, nigga. I just drink Gatorade. Okay, is that right?
LA's on some wild shit, though. Because, like, I remember one time I stayed there. So I went to University of Southern California. One time I stayed there during Christmas because I had this shorty coming over and, you know, wanted to get the plaps in, as it were. And
I was like, the what?
The plaps.
Okay.
Yeah, the flu flops, the blim blams. You know what I'm saying?
Cool, yeah.
And so she came over, and it was, I think, December 23rd. Bro, 84 degrees outside. 84. I miss LA.
Really?
Only for the warmth.
I hate it.
Only for the warmth.
I hate it. I love the cold. So that's why I'm out here. Speaking of which, so you're in Bay Area, and then why did you decide to move to New York?
I had to get these jokes off, man.
Okay.
I had to see what was up.
So you knew, like, New York is a place is known for comedy. Okay.
Yeah, because I'd always heard, so, like, I started in San Francisco, and I had always heard that LA is where you go if you're interested in TV in whatever capacity, and also stand-up. And then Chicago is, like, if you're interested in sketch and also stand-up. And then New York is where you go if you're interested in stand-up and also stand-up.
Right.
So I was like, all right. Because there's no way in hell I would have moved to New York if it weren't for stand-up. Like, fuck the wintertime and, like, fuck seasons and whatnot.
Well, I know that, there's 5 boroughs?
Yeah.
Which part are you in?
I'm in downtown Brooklyn.
Is that some Wu-Tang shit? I don't know.
Nah, downtown Brooklyn ain't nothing. Downtown Brooklyn is just one of the newly gentrified. Well, I don't know newly, but it's definitely like I'm in one of those, like, buildings and you can see the bridge and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm in like right behind me are some projects like.
Is it so? It's one of those places where you walk a block and all of a sudden you're like, "How did I end up here? Why are there crackheads and dogs running around?"
Yeah, so there's, like, luxury apartment buildings and, like, you know, they got, like, those new fancy food courts and shit, right?
Of course.
But then, like, right next to us is a police station, and then, like, right next and behind that is some projects. And I remember when I first got there, like, it was hot, it was summertime, and I was like, I'm a runner, so I was running for like 40 minutes, and I got back, shirt off, I'm feeling like tired and good and euphoric. And then I hear someone go, "Ooh, hey, baby," and I'm getting catcalled. I was like, "Oh, fuck yeah!" And I turn around, and it is 100% a female crackhead. Just like, I like what I see. And I was like, "God damn it, thank you." That's how bruised my ego is. I was like, "Oh, let's see, someone likes me."
Yeah, I'll take it. Whatever you need to, you know, however you get the positivity, wherever you need to get it from. What got you into stand-up? You grew up in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what got you into stand-up?
Stand-up, man. I don't know. You want short story, medium story, long story?
Let's do short, and then if it feels like it needs to be expanded upon.
All right. The short story is I was doing, Toastmasters. You familiar with that organization?
It's like fancy people, and then you hold your pinky up, and there's salad forks.
No.
Okay, that's not it.
Nah.
What the fuck? What am I thinking?
The name does sound fancy. Oh, I do know what you're thinking of, but I have no idea what it's called.
I know that they teach you how to be proper.
Like is that cotillion?
That sounds about right. I'm gonna call that cotillion. The salad forks are cotillion. What is Toastmasters?
Yes, Toastmasters is an organization that just helps people get better at public speaking. So they have, like, a whole bunch of different local chapters at offices and companies, at community centers, colleges, like wherever. Just if you want to get better at speaking, that's what they do. And so we had one at my office job, and I would just be cutting it up, bullshitting, making jokes and whatnot. And all my coworkers like, "You're so funny. You should try stand up." I was like, "Nah, that's some different shit. I'm not going to do it." And then it just so happened they beat me down enough to where I said I'd do it by the end of the year. And I had some friends stay with me that were producing a comedy show. We got high together. I was being funny. I was like, put me on your show. And they're like, haha, fuck you. What? You can't be on our comedy show? Why do you think you could be on our comedy show? And then
This is not a mic.
No, this is a show.
Okay.
It was a show in the Ashbury neighborhood at Milk Bar. And then the next day they hit me up and they're like, hey, we just realized, bro, we don't live here, so we don't really give a shit what happens on the show. So, like, put 6 minutes together and go on stage. So I did that shit. I went on stage. The shit actually went great because they told everyone. They're like, oh, this is this person's first time. So I had, like, a very nice audience. So I'm pretty sure whatever I said they would have laughed at. But it was such a good experience that my friends were like, yo, bro, maybe you should try this. So I tried it, like, 2-3 months more. And then all of a sudden I started loving it. And I was like, man, my job sucks because it distracts me from comedy, which is the thing I love. So, yeah, that's it. That's the short story.
What got you into Toastmasters?
Toastmasters? Oh, I was trying to climb the corporate ladder. It was basically the same shit as being in school. It's like, I got this extracurricular, and I'm part of the leadership group here.
What is your job?
My job was I was in technology sales.
I can see you have a tech guru vibe.
I look like I know what's going on. I'm gonna be real.
Yeah.
I don't.
The lack of hair, then the beard, and the glasses. Those three things, and you got some vascular shit going on with the muscles.
I look trustworthy.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. You seem very put together. You know, like fashionable, but not in an obnoxious way.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Brother. Okay.
I see you, brother.
All right. I want to get on some Hotep shit. We need to go out to the sidewalk. Brothers and sisters, y'all need to understand that weird ass speak pattern. Okay, so
they all got the exact same speak pattern too.
It's like
black preachers all got the same speech pattern, and Hoteps all got the same speech pattern.
How do you feel about that? Like, because I see some light skinnedness. I'm sure people misinterpret you to be Indian. All the time.
All the time now. Like when I had hair, it happened a lot less, and people might be like, "Oh, do you have like something else in you?" Now people just don't know. They usually guess wrong. Actually,
what do they guess?
They'll guess Arab, Middle Eastern, or Indian. And like Puerto Rican isn't like totally wrong because you know they niggas too. Even though they don't claim that shit, but
they should stop. They need to embrace that a little more, in my opinion. But I'm assuming black and white.
Yeah.
Okay. How was race for you growing up?
How was race for me?
Yeah, I mean, you grew up in the Bay Area. I'd imagine it was fine, but I don't know.
Yeah. Where are you from in LA?
I'm not from LA. I'm from Desert. I'm from Riverside.
Oh, you're from Riverside. Right. Okay. Yes. Okay. So, like, San Jose, the racial makeup where I was at was mostly white, Asian, Latino, specifically Mexican, and then, like, black people wherever. Like, we lived in, like, a Jack and Jill area.
Jack and Jill.
So Jack and Jill is like an organization that I don't really know the details, and I could be mischaracterizing it, but I don't think I am. It's basically like, did you move to the suburbs and now there's no black folk around?
Yeah.
And now you worried that your black kids ain't black like you want them to be black?
Gotcha.
Go to Jack and Jill where there's other niggas that move to the suburbs and have kids that want to be around other black people.
That is so healthy. I'm so in support of that institution. Jack and Jill. I've never heard that.
Yeah, I don't really remember what it was. I just remember like we weren't like a part of it for real. It's just like every once in a while we'd end up at this Jack and Jill event and it'd just be like other nigga babies running around and we would just like be kicking it.
Yeah.
So that kind of gives you an idea like what we're dealing with. And I got a bit about it, but in my elementary school, there was me and my two brothers, and for a little bit there was this one black dude named Jamie O'Duncan, and then he dipped.
He sounds like a bully.
Jamie O'Duncan, no, he was a square and then some. I love Jamie O'Duncan. He was my friend, but also he was a nerd. He was a little geeky kid.
All right, Jamie.
Yeah. And then there were like maybe 2 or 3 black girls. But no bullshit. It really took me all the way to 3rd grade to realize that my black friend Aisha was my Indian friend Aisha because she was darker than me. So the whole time I just assumed
she was just black.
Yeah, and also Aisha kind of I guess that name could go both ways. So getting into like the good stuff though, since I grew up in the elementary school that was essentially white, culturally speaking, you know, like listening to Good Charlotte and all that kind of shit, and like not fucking with like hip hop because that was on the radio and his, you know, mom didn't let me listen because Christian woman, all that stuff. When I went into middle school, that was like my first introduction to race. Because the dope thing about elementary school was like race didn't play a factor.
And where you grew up.
Yeah. Because it was just like, you was just a kid.
Right.
You was a kid, I'm a kid, we a kid. race jokes didn't really like pop up like that. It, you know, it was just kids being kids. Then I got to middle school, and you know, everything changes in middle school, and that's when I started getting hit with like whitewashed, and you know, you talk a certain way, and then it was like my whole identity crisis. I was like, what? This whole time I've just been black. Why am I not black? Like, I got to do something to be black? So I was trying to figure that out. It was a lot.
How was that process of figuring it? Do you feel, you seem pretty comfortable in yourself? You know, you got your knees out, you're wearing shorts.
This nigga is confident.
Yeah, so I'm not talking shit. I'm literally shirtless right now. So you know, it's not a negative thing. But it seems like you have, how old are you?
I'm 31.
Yeah, okay, samesies.
Yeah.
It really, you seem very comfortable in yourself. Like when I first met you, which would have been, what, 4 days ago?
Yeah, something like that. 3 days ago, yeah.
Yeah, you just seem, there's something about you that I would describe puts people at ease.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
That's like one of my favorite compliments to get. I like when people compliment my glasses, my beard, but then also I like when folks are like, "You seem chill." I'm like, "Thank you."
Yeah,
I am chill.
you do. You seem very affable. You seem. In fact, I'll tell you all of my assumptions about you. When I first.
You want to know about yourself? Let me tell you about yourself.
At least from my lens, which is I'm proud to say. Okay, so for a little bit about me, I started this podcast because I was lonely. I moved. It was my first time. When you moved to New York, that was your first time moving away from home.
It was my first time not living in California. Yeah.
Okay. Same. And I'm hitting a year in, and it's surreal. I don't know if you're feeling that at all, but
yeah, I'm exactly a year in too. Yeah.
It's weird, man. But I moved out here, and then it started to click to me like, oh, I really don't know anybody, and I'm alone, and it's getting colder. Like I was.
Oh, and you moved here during the pandemic.
I moved.
No, you were a year ago, so not during the pandemic.
I don't know what is considered the pandemic anymore.
Oh, true.
It was, things were opening up.
Okay, gotcha.
I was in a place where the vaccine was out and the boosters were out.
Okay, cool.
And so I started this podcast just an excuse to meet people and talk to people. And what I had learned over this past year is I have a lot of negative assumptions of people, and through talking the podcast, I've gotten to know people, and I've learned like, okay, not everyone's out to get me because I came from a shitty place.
When you say negative assumptions about people, are we talking stereotypes? Or are we talking like whatever my interaction is with you, I'm gonna be as paranoid as possible and just assume the worst?
More paranoid,
okay, than
stereotypical.
Got it.
And to get to the whole black raised whatever, just feeling gaslit my whole life, and you know that your gut, your intuition, and then your black intuition. Oh, it's important. And my compass was all fucked up because everyone was telling me I was being crazy. Yeah. So anytime I would say this feels off, this something, whatever, everyone around me is like, Aaron, you're being crazy. You're wrong. You're the one who's racist,
and you can't prove it.
Right? It's like microaggressions. I'm glad that word exists because it describes something that's kind of hard to describe. And so when I moved out here, I was like cleansing myself from this 30 years of abuse, and so I was on edge. Anytime I picked up on anything, even if it was justified, I assumed it was the absolute worst. And now I'm getting to a place where I don't feel that about everybody I meet anymore. Yeah, which feels good.
That shit is fucking hard to balance. Oh, you were gonna say?
No.
Yeah, that shit is so hard to balance because it's like, all right, like I've spent 100% of my life being a person. I spent 100% of my life being a man. I spent 100% of my life being black. And so, like, if some shit happens to me or just someone says something in passing, it's like, okay, is this because I'm Ryan? Is this because I'm black? Is this because I'm like, you can't, it'll drive you crazy. Yeah. And so I think I'm at the point, and it depends. It depends on, like, which black folk you're talking to. Like, if they more, for lack of a more accurate term, militant, or if they're more on the Hotep white devil shit, or if they're on, like, the completely other side where they're on some Uncle Ruckus shit. And, like, in between. Like, I just operate where I like to give people the benefit of the doubt just because I would like for people to give me the benefit of the doubt because I'm not out here trying to, like, openly offend anybody. And if I am trying to offend you, you'll fucking know it. It's not going to be no micro shit. Like, I'm talking shit and you will know I'm talking shit. Yeah. Otherwise, I might put my foot in my mouth and I apologize. But, like, when I hear people say, like, certain things to me, I'm like, they probably didn't. I don't like it, but did they mean anything by it? Right. Like, are they... Should I, like, cancel this person? Should I say that they're an asshole, or should I just say they don't understand and keep it pushing? And it takes so much energy to just say, like, they out to get me, that at a certain point, like, I just had to let it go and be like, you know what, fuck it. Their motivations, their intentions, their mind, their thinking is their own.
That's where I'm at. That's where I'm getting to. Like, unless I feel like I'm in danger or something's real blatant. If something's blatant or I feel like, okay, I'm in danger right now, I think I've gotten to a place where when we'll call it a microaggression. When a microaggression comes up, I'm like, it's easier for me to be like, that's just how, whatever. I'm just doing my thing. I got my chakras, you know what I'm saying? I got my sage, like I'm working on it. But my opinions of you were all positive, man.
Oh shit.
Like you just I met Chloe first at a show, and she was talking about California and weed. And so I was like, okay. I was like, all right. I get this person. And then I think because I saw her first and I was like, my read on her seems to be positive. Then when you showed up with her, I was like, all right, and he's black. Perfect. That's all I need. So you moved to New York. What is the difference between the New York scene and the San Francisco Bay Area scene?
All right. San Francisco scene, like, dope place to start out because it's like a medium-sized scene, you know? So like, you get exposure to, like, the cast that are killing it. So, for example, just for last festival going down, I'm gonna rep it. I'm gonna claim it. Okay. We got two people from the San Francisco scene got the new faces unrepped. Which did you apply to that shit this year?
No, I am learning the business end of things.
Okay. So, but you're familiar with JFL and all that kind of shit. Yeah. Okay. So, like, everyone and their mother applied in New York, and then you get your rejection letter, and it says there were 9 spots. Guess how many fucking applications they went through?
Ooh, I'm a genuine guess.
Yeah, genuine guess.
I'm gonna go high. I'm gonna go 1,000.
1,480 maybe. Jeez. 1,450.
And 9 people get picked.
9 people get picked for unwrapped. And all the submission is, I don't even think you submit a resume. I think it's just like name, contact info. Here's a 5-7 minute clip, whatever the fuck, and you just send that in.
Who's judging it?
Whoever runs JFL and is in charge of that shit. I'm sure they got
shadow
like
figures,
tiers and whatnot. Yeah. I mean, the rejection letter comes from, like, they actually have, like, the dude's name. Like, it's there. He's like,
by the way, here's my stamp of disapproval. Yeah, let you know
you're not good enough.
That's crazy.
So when I found out that it was 1,400 people and I didn't get, like, my rejection email for like a minute, I was like, damn. I didn't think that I got it, to be very clear, because I was like, statistically speaking, no one's getting it. Right. But I was just like, I fucked up my entry. They didn't receive my submission. That's the only reason that they wouldn't reject me. Point being, odds are whatever the percentage is on 9 out of 1,400. And 2 of those folks started in San Francisco. I think both of them are in LA now, Orion Levine and Dude Neymar. So they're funny as fuck. And then another one got JFL new faces for the repped, the people with the agents management, that kind of thing. Andrew Arolfo, he got it this year too. So like 3 out of however many new faces are from the Bay, which is pretty cool. So I loved getting to start there, and also, like, the writing there is
in Bay Area.
In the Bay Area is dope because people are weird, but they're grounded, and it's a good hybrid of, like, alt and down the middle. It's not like all one way. Point being, I loved it. It's easy enough to get your bearings. If you're funny off the rip, then you can get stage time. So yeah.
And then New York.
And the New York scene is just,
that was a face.
It's overwhelming, but so motivating at the same time. Because, all right, let me put it to you this way. Getting into clubs, auditioning, every club got their own secret handshake. You got to know people, figure it out. It's different everywhere, right? And a lot of luck plays into it, a lot of timing. At the Comic Strip Live, which is one of the most classic venues that there is in New York, the way that they do their audition process is they announce a day of, and they say, hey, come through, get a lottery ticket. Depending on your ticket, that's the day that you'll go up for an audition, right? Now, we know that in the New York scene, there's like probably 1,000 comics or more, but like 1,000 that are doing it kind of regularly, which is a big number. When I went to Comic Strip and I saw how long that line was, like past the block, and then we went into the showroom, and then you just see like 200, 250, 300, however many comics it is, just in the same room, and everyone is doing it for the same reason. You're just like, why am I why am I doing comedy?
Yeah.
Who do I think I am that I'm going to be able to make it, let alone make it, even make a living when it's all these funny niggas around? And like, I know a lot of these people and they funny as shit. There's so many people, they do auditions on Tuesdays once a week. And I don't know if they do 3, 4, or 5 comics. I don't know how many they do each day. There are some people that don't have their audition is August 1st, 2022 right now. Some people don't have their audition till December 2024. So like that's just one example of how overwhelming the New York scene is. But that said, it's so great to go because it's like, if you want to do comedy, if you're there and you're more excited than like,
turned off,
than deterred. Yeah.
Right.
And there's so many times when you'll see someone that like you don't even know, you've never seen them before, and you're like, damn, this motherfucker's killing it. And then there's other times where you see people you do know, and you're like, there are so many levels to this comedy game. And it's almost like it's just exposure therapy. It's like the classic, you got to see it to be it type thing. When you see people kill in person in the way that they're doing it, you're like, okay, I'm good, but I'm far from great. And I can't wait to get there. Yeah. And if I just hang out, it's like here's the last analogy I use.
Okay.
It's like a foreign exchange program, or it's like a language immersion program. You want to learn Spanish, fucking go to Spain, live there for 6 months. That's what it is in New York. You just immersed in it, and it's fantastic.
That sounds like a lot.
It's a lot.
That's funny. Okay, and then now you've been in Chicago. This is your first time in Chicago.
First time doing comedy in Chicago.
So out here, compared to San Francisco and New York, what is Chicago from your perspective?
Chicago.
Have you been to the South Side yet, by the way?
Haven't been to the South Side yet.
Okay.
Yeah, the closest I got to going to the South Side is I was at that Laugh Factory show yesterday. OJ something does it. I don't know if
Lamont.
you know probably.
Locks.
He got the locks.
He got locks. Pretty big personality. Yeah, he's got a South Side vibe. Yeah.
So I was at the Laugh Factory. I was surprised at how many black folk were there. But then when he started hosting the show and I picked up the vibe, and then when he brings folks up, he was like, all right, everybody say, bring that goofy ass up. I was like, oh, okay. We brought the South Side, or at least the South Side vibe.
Yeah, to the North Side.
Yeah, to the North Side. But that's the closest I got. But I would like to go to the South Side and do some jokes there because I don't get a lot of black audiences.
Are you here Wednesday?
I leave on Wednesday.
Never mind then. I was going to say, well, there's Funny at Francis on Tuesday, tomorrow.
Yeah.
I haven't been there, but that is, if you want a South Side room, from what I gather, you'll get the South Side experience. It's mean. They're going to heckle you if they want. They don't like you. There's no.
Oh, word?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I want, or at least that's what I say now.
I had, when I first moved here, I pictured, I didn't know what the fuck I pictured. Like I pictured more black people, and I did get more black people from where I was from, but that's not saying much.
Yeah.
And then I started to realize the line of the South Side and the North Side.
Yo, the segregation
Yeah.
is wild.
Super crazy out here.
So yesterday I went to go get dim sum with a couple of my Asian homies from back in the Bay. They just moved here last month, and they were talking about it, and they were like, it's weird because there's like no Asian people here.
Unless you go to Chinatown.
It's just white people and black people. And I feel like I said, where I'm from, there was a lot of different folk, but when it's just white and black, like the segregation is just on 10.
Yeah.
And like the commingling feels non-existent.
Yeah.
It's almost like there need to be more groups so that it doesn't feel so adversarial.
Yeah, I mean, we're in. So if you want to find, there's pockets. Like I used to live in Pilsen, and Pilsen's the Mexicans. All the Mexicans are in Pilsen. Pilsen, and then we're in a mix. It's pretty mixed over there. It's like we're in Albany Park right now. I would describe this area as pretty Mexican, to white and Mexican. And then the South Side, if you were to take the red line, have you been on the red line yet?
Yeah.
If you were to take the red line and just keep going south, you'll see. You know when you go to one space from another and you feel the energy shift?
Yeah.
You'll feel it right around Clark and Lake. This is where everyone has to be. And then you just keep going south from Clark and Lake. It's going to get more and more and more black. I think once you hit Sox Stadium, forget it. You're just in black, and then just keep going, and it's gonna get blacker and blacker, and souther and souther.
Have you done much in the South Side? Any shows out there?
Yeah, I when I first started, that was my goal, was try to find more black people. Like a big part of me moving out here outside of comedy was to find myself and figure out my identity within my blackness and all that. And
that's specifically why you chose Chicago?
a part of it, it was a lot. So it was comedy, and I picked Chicago because at the end of the day, my gut said Chicago. New York felt almost cliche, like too much. I don't like LA, and the Bay. To be honest, the Bay Area didn't even come up in my mind.
Yeah, it's fine.
And it was just so it was comedy wise. I was like, Chicago feels right because it's low key, and I'd imagine it really is purely about the comedy. There's no industry out here.
Yeah.
And so if you're doing comedy out here, you're doing comedy out here. So that was part of it. And then the other part was just simply escaping where I was from and getting as far away from that as possible because it was so bad.
Yeah.
So bad. And then the third part was like finding my own independence as a man, as a person, as an adult. I don't know if I answered that question.
Yeah, no, that was super intentional, it sounds like.
Yeah. It was a decision. And it was a decision that was met with a lot of pushback. Everyone was like, you're going to get shot.
Word?
Yeah. Everyone. I got like damn near no support in the beginning when I said I want to move to Chicago.
When you say everyone, was your friends, family, just anyone that mattered to you?
And it felt like damn near everyone. I'm pretty sure. And go ahead.
Do they have Chicago experiences? Like, are they only watching Chirac? Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
I seen that. Chance the Rapper, talks about the summer friends. It's a nice song, but what it really means is that sometimes niggas get shot in the summertime.
But everyone's picturing O Block. Everyone outside of Chicago, when they think of Chicago, they're picturing O Block or the Bean or the pizza or whatever. But I'm from a place where it's frustrating. Riverside and the Inland Empire is not a small town, but it's not a city, and it's in this middle ground where you can trick yourself into thinking you're in a city.
It's a sprawling town. It's a very large town.
Yeah, large. It's large and it's wide. Yeah. And what I came to realize, especially after this year, was like when I said I want to move to Chicago, and I got that pushback, and people were saying don't do that. They were projecting their own issues onto me. So when they were saying, don't go to Chicago, you might get shot. In their head, they're thinking, I'm not going to go to Chicago because I'm worried about being shot. And they're just saying it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I just came from a place where I didn't feel supported enough. Yeah. I felt like I was being torn down, even by people that I was friends with or that I love very much. It felt like I needed a change,
Was that almost more validation for moving, the reaction that they got?
Yes. The moment I was like, oh, I'm glad I'm doing this, was I visited in May of what it would have been 2020, I think.
Okay.
I visited in May, and I was only here for like 4 days, and I was like, oh, I love this.
Oh,
granted, nice. I visited Boys Town. You been to Boys Town?
I don't think so.
Boys Town is the gay area. It's by Wrigley Field. It's
then yeah, because I think I did this show at Output Wrigleyville.
Yeah, you've been to Boys Town.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And that area is just very nice. And I was out there for 4 days, fucking around, getting high, drinking, and fucking around. But I just felt like there was rain. It rained. I hadn't seen rain in years.
I know we don't get summertime rain. Yeah. I mean, LA, you don't really get it at all. But even in the Bay, we don't get summertime rain.
And it felt like when I came from here back to Riverside, I was like, oh, I hate it here. This is terrible. I got to breathe for a second. Now I'm pushed back under the water, and I was like, I need to get out of here. And so that continued to justify my feelings, and it started off with quarantine. So please stop me if I'm talking too much.
No.
But it started off with quarantine. So when quarantine hit, it was the first time everyone left me the fuck alone, and it was the first time I got to feel me. And I worked on myself. I started meditating. I got into Buddhism. I was like, oh, I'm happier. Happiness is possible. I literally, to that point, I was like, it is impossible. Unless I become a successful stand-up comic, it is impossible to be happy.
Oh, you've learned much.
I learned a lot, yeah. And so I was like, oh, shit. I wasn't happy. It was like, oh, I see the light. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. If I keep doing what I'm doing, I'll get there to that, whatever that is. And then shit started opening up a little bit. And I started having a little bit of shows. I started being around people again a little more. And then this just crushing of like, oh no, I'm back pre-quarantine. Whatever's going on around me. And I think in retrospect, it was like the people and the environment. But whatever was going on around me was dragging me back down to that depression again. Yeah. And then, very long story short, it clicked like I need to get out of here. And then I got here and, been working that out. Yeah. And I think the reason what I admire about your vibe is you do feel very comfortable in yourself. And when I meet people like that, I'm like, okay, well, careful the company you keep. The people that are around you are the people that are a reflection of who you are. And when I see you and I'm like, whatever that energy is, I want to talk to that guy. And so that's a big reason why I wanted to talk to you on this podcast, is because you just have a good vibe.
Oh shit, thanks, man.
Yeah. I'll stop talking.
Yeah,
you can talk.
No, it's an interesting test. Have you been back to Riverside?
No, not yet. Oh,
that's
not yet.
You know what I mean? Because it is one thing. Because it reminds me of the Bible verse about building your house on the sand versus building on like bedrock. And your house, in this analogy, being like you, who you are, the real Aaron, that kind of thing, was on like a very shaky foundation to where if anything happened, like you were moving with the wind, you were moving with the sand, you were shifting, and as people affected you, you were kind of just taking that. You didn't have like your I'm secure in me filter up. You didn't have that shield. And obviously that shield is getting stronger and stronger as you get to know yourself and meditate and all that kind of stuff. So I'm very curious how it goes when you get there, because that's go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say I want to keep in touch with you. I'm gonna mess it. I'm gonna bother you.
Yeah,
like a little bit. A little bit about me. Fair warning: if I become too much, you just got to be like, "This is too much." If I'm like bothering or becoming like needy is not the right word anymore. It used to be needy. Now it's pushy. It's like I get manic and I get excited about stuff, and I'm like, oh, Ryan, bro, I watched this YouTube video. Watch this and tell me what you think of all. Watch this hour-long podcast and watch this movie, nigga. Watch the movie. Tell me what you think of the movie. And
you just fogwa people with content.
Oh yeah. I because I love connection and community. And when I meet someone, I'm like, this person seems like they'd be good in my community. I'm like, let me build that, but it's too much. Please speak.
All right. Well, then something about me that you need to know is a lot of times I don't respond to people. Okay. Just because I don't feel like it.
Fair enough.
Like right now, let's see what's going on here. And I always feel bad because it's like it's always like it's not a you thing. Yeah. All right. Right now I have 178 unread text messages.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, usually not usually. Sometimes it's above 200. I actually like went through the other day and deleted them. But the point is, like, I'm very big proponent of doing what I want to do when I want to do it, and also like on a larger scale, doing what you want to do when you want to do it. You know, I get it. Like, we grown, pursue your happiness, and like I just hate texting, bro. Like if I'm taking a shit, or if I'm super bored and brain dead, or if I'm waiting for a train, then I'll be like, all right, like let me pull up the text and like get back to these people, or see the Instagram and watch these videos. But like it's very often like you remind me of my older brother, just only in the sense that like watch this. Like most times I just line it up, and when I got 20 minutes, I'll just go to my DMs and be like, all right, what did Wesley send me? And it's like 15, 20 videos, some commentary here, some thoughts about growing up, talking about this, talking about that. And I'm like, all right, here we go. All right, don't like this one. Sometimes I'm like, nope, I'm not liking this one because I don't like this video. And he's like my own Instagram algorithm. Like he sends me enough to just populate my page. So anyway, just know it's a me thing. It's not a you thing. It's like, I'll get back to you.
I will not take it personally. And that is, your mentality is fascinating to me. that like for me, if I don't respond to all of it, I get anxious.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to, if I see that notification is still full, I'm like, I need to clear the notification. It bothers me. Are you know, when you microwave something and you stop it before the time ends?
Oh, yeah.
Are you a guy that clears the time, or you just like leave it at 4 seconds?
I've never even considered not clearing the time. It's never crossed my mind to like just leave it at 4 seconds.
Yeah.
No, it's
It
off.
has to. Imagine the 4 seconds are just there and you see it and you're like, well, I gotta clear.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of how it feels when
Okay.
when I have missed messages.
Yeah, I think most people are like you in that regard, but it's like there's just like, when the fuck does a text conversation end? You know what I mean? Like I could always get back to you, and you could always get back to me.
This is true.
So that's why it's just like, all right, pause.
The other thing I do is I voice message. I've been texting you because efficiency, and you don't know me that well, and I've come to realize when you voice message initially, people get freaked out. I messaged Chloe with voice messages pretty early on.
Yeah.
I think I asked her to do the podcast, and she said, "What's it about?" And I was high, and I was like, "All right, so basically, we get to know each other on a really personal level. It's really personal. It's emotional, and like, don't be funny. Don't be just be you, or whatever the fuck dumb shit I said." And then she didn't respond, and I was like, "Well, you did it again, Aaron. Good job." But I'll like. You'll see, and I will take in with open-mindedness what you've said, that you don't respond often, and that's fine. I will not take it personally.
Because what happens is I'll look at it and I'll be like, oh, I don't feel like getting back to this person, and then I'll immediately forget about getting back to that person. And you know what's wild? It even happens with hot chicks.
I'm listening.
You know what? I just realized someone texted me. I gotta get back to her.
Literally right now?
No, like this is like I don't know, a day, 2 days ago or something. I got a text from someone. And I was like, I'm doing other shit. And I just now remembered I'm getting back to her.
Do you have community? Have you always felt like you've had support, pillars, friends, family that really have your back?
Bro, I'm very lucky. I was actually talking to Chloe about this because she's in a similar boat where it sounds like we had almost opposite.
You and me?
Yeah, either like childhood, growing up, coming up experiences. Like your experiences led you to be paranoid and, you know, not even trust but verified, distrust, and then if there's enough to overturn my initial verdict, then maybe we'll consider opening up the trust gates a little bit, right? My shit is pretty much the opposite. Like the most, let me put it this way, the most trauma I've ever been through in my life is probably two things. One, like the whole race identity, you're whitewashed, you're not black, this is who you are, this is how we see you thing, which I use the word trauma extremely lightly. Like that's...
Can I ask about that?
Yeah.
Mel, I can relate to you on that, and it feels like my experience of that was just a little more intense. Is that fair to say? Because the way you're describing it sounds very lackluster. It feels very, not lackluster, very, you sound very laissez-faire about it. Like, it doesn't sound like an identity crisis happened, but I could be wrong. I could be misinterpreting.
Oh, you know what? I'm probably glazing over because time.
We could,
you know, because it was not time now. I'm saying like I'm 31 and this, you know, this was starting when I was like what, 12, 13, 14
right.
On through. So I'm not going to get into this story. I'm just using it to raise a point. Like I got hit by a car when I was in high school. Right?
Okay.
And if we want to go into the story later, we can.
I'll write it down.
But the point is, I got hit by a car and that shit hurt like a bitch, right?
Yep.
But when I tell the story now, I don't think about the pain. Like I know it hurt.
Right.
But it's not like it's a painful experience.
You're removed from it.
Yeah. So I'm removed from this too. At the time, it took up a lot of brain space. That was like my growing up crucible. But at the same time, like now that I'm older and I've gotten to know myself better, like it's all gravy, you know? But the reason I say trauma and that I use it lightly is because it's only with George Floyd and the racial conversations that are happening now and people talking about just if you're black, it is an almost inherently traumatic experience. I was thinking about how that shaped me and in who I thought I had to be, to going back to your question, to be a part of a community, right? Because there was this idea that there's a corner of blackness, right? And people try to paint you into the black corner. And when I say people, I literally mean America. This is white people, this is
Other
Asian
black
people, this is
people.
Mexican, and it's other black people. And it's so insidious that even by the time you're in middle school, what black is already so ingrained into our psyches that if you see someone who is black that doesn't fit into that corner, then they can't be black. But the worst thing about that is a lot of black stereotype is beautiful, but a lot of it is negative and less than. So if you don't speak, and I use it very loosely, proper English, then you're black. If we're doing slang, then you're black. If you're athletic, then you're black. If you can dance, then you're black. If you're cool, then you're black. If you're not doing well in school, then you black. If you poor, then you black. If you late on your bills, then you black. There's all these stereotypes out there. And then conversely, if you talk proper, then you white. If you get good grades, then you white or Asian, right? And so I was in the camp of I'm getting good grades. I got my straight A's going. I talk like I talk. And I don't sag my pants, all that kind of stuff. I did start sagging my pants because I wanted to fit in.
It was been 2003, 4 when we had the big ass white tees and
yeah.
Bugs Bunny,
Tall tees. Yeah, tall tees in lot 29.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was out here with tall tees in lot 29. And I don't even think I processed it until George Floyd went down and all these conversations were happening to put it in that context of like, wait, so you're just saying that I don't get to be black if I'm attaining a certain level of success? Like we're extricating the two? Like those aren't mutually exclusive things, but at least with the way it made, and I can only speak for myself, the way it made me feel, I was like, I gotta choose. Like I'm either gonna be black or I'm gonna be successful. That's what it felt like. And so I think there's so many black people, probably today I assume young folks that are coming up and they're having to come to terms with this. And I would love, my brain's kind of scattered on this one. I want to make a bit about it at some point, and I don't know how to approach it because it would be very difficult. Like I do love being black. I love having that community. I love being part of that culture. But at the same time, sometimes I wish I wasn't black, just in the sense of it would be nice to not worry about race. You know, like the thing that I'm envious about with whiteness that I see is like if you're white, you can like really be, there's the freedom to just really be anything because no one attributes it to your whiteness. Like you could be a nerd, you could be a jock, you could be like the only thing you can't really be without people like judging you is a rapper, and that's just one thing that no one's gonna be anyway. So like who gives a fuck about the shade Jack Harlow's getting? Like you're making money, whatever. But it's like there seems to be like that freedom is like I'm just doing what I want to do. Whereas when you're black, and this goes back to what you were saying about the whole microaggression thing and like am I internalizing too much? Am I making up monsters in my head, or is this real? Is whatever I do, I'm representing an idea of blackness that may or may not be accepted by the country, the world at large, and may or may not even be accepted by black people. And that's the shit I hate because it's like I want us to be able to think bigger and think beyond like the community and like the identity we've made for ourselves and realize like our identity could be so much more. Like black weirdos are fucking great. You know what I mean?
Donald Glover.
Yeah, on some Donald Glover or what's Will Smith, Jaden Smith type shit. I don't really fuck with Jaden Smith, but at the same time, I like the fact that he's black, famous, and weird.
Yeah, he's free.
Hannibal Buress.
Hannibal Buress is super
We
weird.
in Chicago, spectacular example. Eric Andre. Like I love it when we're allowed to be weirdos and express our blackness beyond just being like the cool cat.
Right. I think that's what. Man, I really wish you weren't leaving so soon. I wish you could see the South Side more. I haven't seen your material. I don't know how you go about this shit on stage or how you're perceived by black people on stage. But that's been a hurdle for me that I'm still dealing with out here. Is when I go to the South Side, and I do think there is a difference between a black room and a hood room.
Yeah.
There's a difference there, but for right now, I will encompass all of it. When I'm down there, when I get on stage, you can feel immediately like, soft ass nigga. Like you can feel. And the frustrating thing is like, is that Well, I don't think. I think that what is perceived by, we'll call lower income black people, is like, oh, you grew up in the burbs. Oh, you weren't hungry. Oh, then you didn't suffer. It's like you don't know. You don't know the type of violence that occurred for me. Like I'm not. It's so frustrating. Like when someone says I'm from the South Side of Chicago, and you're black, you are validated in your struggles. If I say I'm from the suburbs of Riverside, California, immediately all those struggles are brushed off, and it's like it's almost worse in that. Oh, the cops are fucking with you. They're not fucking with all of you. You can't all scat. It's me. You're alone. And you everywhere you go, you're alone. And when you are around black people, they can pick up like, oh, you're not from here. So now you're alone here too. So when I get on stage in the South Side and I start my shit, I can feel this like, why is he talking this way? Why is he dressing this way? Why are his subject matters about this? And it's like, man, give me a chance. Like, give me a second. Take a second and really take in what I'm saying, because I'm not saying dumb shit.
Yeah.
And so I actually haven't. Quick question, and then I'll elaborate. Have you ever taken a comedy break since starting comedy?
I guess technically, like I didn't do jack shit during COVID really, because I was just working like a lot, which good for me that I was able to do that.
COVID.
But at the same time, I didn't really feel like a comedy break. You know what I mean? Like it just felt like I was unable to do comedy. I didn't have the mental capacity after I was done with my day job. Like it was just like throw on the TV, bullshit with the roommates, and then do it again the next day. But it wasn't an intentional like, oh, I'm stepping away. It wasn't like a sabbatical from comedy.
Right.
I just didn't have the time and the energy.
Well, even throughout quarantine, I still found ways to do stand-up. I did street stand-up for months, for years. But I took my first real comedy break in like 6 years, going on 7 years. And it was the transition of moving in here. Yeah. It was about a month and a half, 2 months. But right before I took that break, I had a terrible set at Black Room at the Funny People. Yeah. I got cocky and I got high and I went up there and I embarrassed myself. And then I had
every time. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever had. I think the only good cocky set I've had was when I was coming down off shrooms. But even that, like I don't even think that was cocky. I think that was just like a very quiet, self-assured confidence that it was gonna go well. Every time I'm never have a good cocky set. It's impossible.
Do not get cocky. It's so hard to not get cocky.
You get humbled immediately.
It feels like you do well, and your ego gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then one boom, and you're back down.
Yeah, you got to remind yourself at all times, like, I could bomb tonight. It's very real that I could bomb. And you got to, like, have that little bit of I could bomb fear. Yeah, at least a little bit.
Yeah.
All right.
So I haven't been back to a Black Room since, like, it's been about a month and some change since I've been back doing comedy consistently, and I haven't been back to a Black Room yet. I'm going back Wednesday. And I'm hoping that this new version of me, that is a lot more understanding of myself and a lot calmer, will translate. But we'll see.
Wait, so when was the last time you did a Black Room?
It's probably been about 3 months.
3 months. You took your comedy break when?
It was about a month and a half to 2 months, and then I got back in July, August. What was before July? June?
June, yeah.
Late June, early July was when I was like, okay, I'm back and doing comedy consistently again.
Okay, cool. So you've basically been back doing comedy for a month. You stopped like 2.5, 3 months ago. All right. So you've been on your personal growth journey.
Yeah.
Is you as a person, but then you took this break, so you learned some shit. It sounds like about you as a comic.
Well, no, I almost reversed. When I moved here, I little bit of context. I moved here with a girlfriend at the time.
Uh-huh.
We got a 2-bedroom apartment because we kind of knew.
Uh-huh.
And we broke up like a month into moving here.
Uh-huh.
Literally day I moved here, fucking 48-hour consistent drive, both of us just going back and forth, driving, getting here. The night of, I went out to do comedy. And I did not fucking stop. As soon as I got here, comedy, boom. And I should have taken the time, I wrote it down there, slow down. I should have taken the time to be like, wait a minute, I'm in a new environment. I've never been here before. Comedy is not leaving and it's not going anywhere. Take a second, take in the environment to figure out yourself, be quiet for a second. And I didn't do that. And when summer was hitting, I was basically going to be out of a job. I was moving into this place, which was going to be more expensive. I just hit a point where I was like, I can't. Oh, and I mushroom trips. And I hit a point. It'll happen. I hit a point where I was like, okay, I need to do something different. I'm doing the same thing over and over again. And the different thing is take a step back and force yourself to not do comedy. This is an addiction at this point. And so I did not. I did it a little, here and there, just to knock the rust off. But like I didn't do it for real. And I learned about myself. I learned things that I did not like about myself that I'm still working on. I learned things I can say I love about myself, and I'm finding more confidence and independence. And now I'm back into comedy, and I do feel like I've gotten better because of it.
Yeah, it is nice that reminds me of just sports, athletics in general. So I used to run track. And
I can see that.
When you get to the end of the season, they do this thing called tapering, where you've been like working your ass off, you've been building, doing all the details that don't matter, right? And then like the last 2-3 weeks, whenever you want to peak and just be at your best, you just take it easy for like that last week or two. It's like the easiest training you've ever done. You might do like some sprints here and there. You might go at top speed for like a whole lap and that's it. But you just straight relaxing, and in that time, you get faster.
Your muscles build, right?
They just recover, and you get faster. Like the fastest time I used to run the 800. I really wasn't shit. I was just on the team in college because I had good grades, and the distance people brought up the GPA. That's all it was. But the time I ran the fastest was I was coming off like an ankle injury or some shit, and I hadn't run for a week or two. Like I hadn't even been like running. And I just got thrown into whatever race on my way back. And I got done, and people were like, oh, dude, you ran 154, which is great in high school. In college, it means nothing. But that was 2 seconds than I'd ever ran before. And I didn't believe him. I was like, no, I didn't. Like, I was tired. I was no, you did. And then when the time came out, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
But it is a beautiful thing when you can take a step back and, like, improve because of that. And you were talking about slow down and like don't move for a while. I'm at a point where I'm not heavy into my spiritual journey, but like I'm kind of dabbling. I'm reading some stuff. It's interesting to me. And one of the concepts I really like is reinterpreting the Bible, because I grew up Christian, and reinterpreting the idea of God and heaven. And so the Bible verse, be still and know that I am God, I always thought it was, meditate, sit down, think about it, and just think about like, oh, God's in charge of everything and whatnot. But now I kind of reinterpret it to like, be still and get to know yourself and understand that you are a part of something that is bigger and you are a part of everything. And then that kind of gives me a certain calm and a certain knowing, and like it anchors me. And then going back, this is what reminded me of it when you say, like, once you go back to a black room, it's like the storm could be happening, but that's fine. Like, I'm still right here. I would prefer that it wasn't raining and that the winds weren't 80 miles per hour. It would be nice if it was sunny and there was a breeze. But either way, I'm staying right here. And when the storm is over, I'm still going to be right here, because now, like, I'm anchored in myself, in being, in existence, that kind of thing.
There's an idea, I don't know if this is in Christian philosophy, but the idea that so goddamn, I can't believe I'm about to reference this rapper, Logic. Did you listen to Everybody?
Was that one of his singles?
It was one of his albums. It was around. It was right after 1-800. I think it was.
No, I didn't get into.
Basically, one of the running themes is that God is everybody, and that the idea is that like there is one consciousness living as everybody. Mm-hmm. So it's so hard to describe. So like I'm living as me now, and then one day I die, and then oh shit, I'm a slave owner from 18 such and such, and I don't remember that I'm me because time is not linear. It is, and then you are. Now I'm the first female president of America, and like you have to before we all go to heaven. That one entity of God has to experience everyone's perspective everywhere, and then when it's all over, then we all become one, or something kind of like that.
Oh, fascinating.
I don't know if that's in the. I don't think that's a Christian philosophy, though.
No, it's 100% not.
No.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of, because in Christianity, like, well, it's adjacent. Now I think about it, because there's the Holy Trinity, right? Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and the idea is that the Holy Spirit dwells within all of us. Yeah. So again, that's like going back to the reinterpretation. Like that means that we all are one and we all are connected because the Holy Spirit is God, and if we have a piece of God in all of us,
we are good.
Yeah.
What got you in? I'm sorry, what?
Oh, no, go ahead.
What got you into your spirituality again?
It was nothing specific. I mean, first of all, now that I don't have a job, I got a lot of time on my hands. So
you doing comedy full time?
I mean, only in a technical sense, not from a financial sense. Yeah, the short version is once I realized I wanted to do stand-up, moved to New York, I saved up a grip of cash, and I was like, all right, when this gets low enough, I'll figure it out. But until then, I'm just going to do what I want to do. And the beautiful thing about that is it gives you time to reflect. And like we study so much. Like we study just coming up, we study the math and the science and the history and the English. We study so much, and we never apportion any time, even theology. Like we go to church, like we never apportion time to study ourselves. And that's the awesome thing about not having a job is like you got to entertain yourself somehow. And I feel like it kind of you naturally go to, or like with the pandemic with so many people, yourself included, like you're like,
who the fuck am I?
It's so trite, but it's not. Like it's a cliche for a reason. It's like, wait, who? You get to the who am I? You get to like the what am I? And then if you're feeling spicy, you get to like the how did I come to be? And that's like a more fun thing because there you really know there's no way to get a right answer. Yeah. But thinking about the whole who am I thing is a really, really gratifying exercise because you can't hide from yourself. Like you're not allowed to just put an answer down and turn it in. Like that's just cheating. It's not going to help anybody.
I think that's what I don't like about America is it's built in such a way so that we are not able to take a second. Like quarantine, I think we're in this cultural shift. I think we're going to have a civil war, if I'm being real.
I'm curious about that in terms of the geography of it. I don't know how we would do it.
I think I was watching a video about this. I'm sure it was on TikTok, so I'm sure I'm wrong. But it was a video that like the reason we have trouble imagining a modern civil war in America is because we're picturing a old school civil war where I dress in gray, you dress in blue, and we go down the hill and we do. But if I understand correctly, a modern civil war in America is decentralized. So what it would look like is different groups of white dudes in helmets would go around killing people, and then we would then have to learn how to group up, and we would fight them. And it's not like
guerrilla.
It's guerrilla warfare everywhere. So like, let's say you're here. Let's say the Civil War is happening. You're here with me. We have our guns. We're ready to go. Someone might roll up here, and we just gotta shoot back. And that's what the war is. That's what I think could happen.
Man, why? Why do you think so?
Because history repeats itself, and there are four. It's a repetition of every 80 years, I want to say, and there's 4 quadrants of it. And the first one is the shoot up area, the Enlightenment. Everyone's good. Everything's great. Everything's awesome. And then there's a shift, almost kind of like a that can only last so long, and then it shifts, and then there's a downturn, and then our generation's the one that makes it go back up again. But we have to get through the whatever it is. I think that when Donald Trump, good Lord, we're here. When Donald Trump got into office, or before he got into office, I remember thinking like, one, the president's a figurehead. I remember thinking like, well, it doesn't matter who president, like it doesn't. It's just you know.
Yeah.
And then when he got president, I was like, oh shit, it totally mattered. Like you set the tone. Like when Obama was president, everything wasn't perfect by any stretch, but the tone, the vibe was very calm for the most part. And Trump came around, and the tone was like, this is insane. This is crazy. And it just got
tone became very, very much pick a side.
Yeah.
That's like, it is crazy. Groupthink and mob mentality, and how easy it is to get swept up. Like I wish I remembered the exact quote from Men in Black, but remember in the first one when Will Smith is finding out aliens exist and he's coming to grips with it, and he's talking to whatever the white guy's name is, what's
Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones. He's like, why don't you just tell people that aliens are here? Like, people are cool. They'll be able to figure out clearly aliens are living here. And then he basically goes in on humanity. Yeah. And he's like, a person is smart, can be reasoned with, but people are ignorant, savages, dumbass fuckers. And he just goes in. And it's so true. Like, something happens when we go from person to people where we just devolve into just shit. Fucking
as the id, I want to say that when people are together, it's the raw id, and I think that could be a positive. You've been to a music show where everyone is one, and we're all on the same page about this music, and that's the best version of it. And then it can be the opposite.
Yeah, but I feel like so often it becomes the opposite, because even if you come in, this is a little bit reductive, but even if you come into, say, like liberals and conservatives, or even more specifically like younger liberals, like Gen Z type people and others, like their cause and mentality is like purely righteous, which is to say we should accept everyone for who they want to be, no questions asked, right? And like everyone should be able to go, all right, we should accept people. Go ahead and do what you want to do. But because they're part of a group in like a particular echo chamber, then at least the way I see it, it closes them off to other people who have different lived experiences, who may have at least valid opinions that you could understand, and you don't have to agree with it, but there's too many people for everyone to be on the same page. So it's like you get so self-secure in your righteousness. Christianity is a good example. The Crusades, right? Slavery, that's how that happened, where Portugal started off with slaves, and they were like the higher ups realized, you know, these Christian people aren't going to be cool with this, because they're like, aren't we supposed to be nice? So they were like, nah, here's what we're going to do. These people are heathens, and if they're slaves, then we can save them and convert them. And so it's like, even the righteous intentions, if you stay in that group, whatever that group is, for too long or too exclusively, then that conflict starts.
Yes.
And then you stop being able to see other people
and their perspective on the world. I agree. And I don't think I answered. I want to answer the why Civil War. Because white people are crazy. They're really like.
Again, white person, love white person. I love white persons. Yes. White people.
You can't. They're off, man. Like I don't want to do in the same way I understand my own echo chamber and all that stuff, but I grew up in their echo chamber, so I know how they think. I didn't grow up around my own I didn't grow up around people that were like me. I grew up around all of them. I've heard their perspectives on the world, and I know how they think. And they're violent. They're violent. They're vicious. They're cold in a lot of ways. They're uncompromising. No matter how reasonable you are, no matter how logical you are, unfucking compromising. And if you look, it's like, okay, we're making guns more available. We are taking away rights we're taking away women's rights. We're eventually they're going to try to take away gay rights. I think we fixed that. I don't know if they're fixing that.
with the gay rights?
Yeah,
I thought
they were going. It was abortion, and then it was gay marriage.
But gay marriage isn't on the chopping block anymore?
I'm sure for Republicans it is, and they're going to do anything they can to take it. But I think they're trying to codify the law.
Okay.
I think there's at least a little pushback. Thank fucking God. But it goes that, and then from there it goes Brown versus Board of Education, segregation, and that sounds crazy. But Donald Trump being president sounded crazy in 2015, and a goddamn the Black Lives Matter, the protest, the biggest protest in history in the world happened. That sounded crazy in 2015. The way this shit's going to me is like you're setting up crazy white people to get guns and try to kill people, and that's going to start a civil war. I really do believe that we might get to that point.
Yeah, I mean, it does sound crazy insofar as who wants to actually believe that,
right?
But then at the same time, you think about Ahmaud Arbery, and like when that story broke, I was like, what?
Also, I'm sorry, this is gonna be fucked up. Which one is Ahmaud?
Ahmaud Arbery, he was the guy that was in Alabama or Mississippi
running the truck.
Yeah, and they killed him. And you're like, and you're like, surely, at least I was, because I was like, this is like the cop paradigm it's fucked up, but it's something that I'm at least accustomed to. You know what I mean? So it's like cops, black guy. It's like cowboys and Indians from back in the day, completely unjustified, but that's the game.
And they have a badge, so there's a
and like we've seen that play out so many times, but this was like a modern lynching from like people that can't hide behind a so it's like, wait, I gotta be missing. This nigga was just running, and then just some white people like that. It's some shit that, and again, it's wild because depending on where you grew up, how you grew up, you not nearly as surprised as I was.
Yeah.
But to find out how pissed like so many white people are is disconcerting, because if you're gonna define yourself by a large part by your race, then I don't understand why you as a white person could be mad on racial lines, considering that y'all, at least in America, are clearly winning and have been for so long.
There's an answer to that. I haven't, in terms of their logic and their view of things. Also, mine was Philando Castile. Do you know Philando? You know that one?
Remind me which one.
Black man, like a teacher. I know this doesn't need to be brought up.
This is Oakland, right?
Oh fuck, no, I think this is in the South.
Okay,
but this doesn't need to be brought up. But spotless record. I hate that I have to say spotless record. With his girlfriend and daughter in the back. Gets stopped by the cops, broken taillight, I believe. He says to the cops, "Officer, I have just so you know, I have a firearm in the car, and I also have permits for that." And the cop said, "Don't grab it," and he said, "I'm not." And then he shot him. Not even exactly, like 15 times, like a lot. Then his girlfriend recorded, and you see this man dying, and the cop is scared. Because the cop's scared, and I'll show you the video at the end because it's going to bother me. What the fuck was I even talking about? Sorry, this upsets me so much. What were we talking about? White people's they're winning. So they're being taught that replacement theory. You know replacement theory?
Is that the idea that this is the "you will not replace us" chant, and it's the whole by whatever it is, 2050, white people are going to be minorities?
Yeah. They don't want they're afraid that they're going to be replaced by black and brown people, and that they're really afraid deep down that we're going to treat them the way they treated us.
That part feels very true. It's like they always waiting for the other shoe to drop, which is hilarious because like I don't think they should be worried about that in terms of like what am I going to get out of doing some shit to you, but then at the same time it's like they should be, because that's what the fuck you deserve.
You do really do.
Like white guilt. I would never feel guilty or empathetic for any white person feeling white guilt, because like you should
feel guilty.
You should feel it.
Yeah.
And like that's a good thing. One, in terms of penance isn't the right word, because it does get. I don't have good answers for the gray area of like, yeah, you didn't do it, but you are benefiting from it.
Yeah.
So like, you can see both sides to that one, I think, pretty easily.
Yes.
It's like you didn't do it, but you're benefiting from it. But at the same time, because you are benefiting from it, it's good that you feel guilty because no free rides. And then also, that guilt should drive you to do
better.
something to reconcile that guilty feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if you're white and you don't have white guilt, it either means that you're secure enough in yourself, whether that's an allyship or you're like, no, like I know I'm not like a bad person or a racist person, whatever. You don't have guilt. Cool. Like live your life, treat people like people, have a great time. Mm-hmm. Or if you don't have white guilt, you're on like the other side of it where it's like, okay, well, you're literally just racist.
Yeah.
But I feel like most people just fall in between two extremes. And like, if you have that white guilt, you should use that and use it as a compass.
Have you watched Atlanta?
I've only watched a couple episodes.
Oh God. That's going to be the thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the thing I bother you about.
Yeah?
Yeah, 100%. Do you give a fuck about film, television, all that? You got that? You a film guy?
No, I'm not like a big film nerd.
Okay.
Like, the reason I don't watch a lot of like good shows is because I don't like first of all, I don't like watching TV by myself.
Okay.
Like, I'm fine doing it, but it's so much more fun when I watch it with someone that if I'm by myself, I prefer to read. So when I do watch TV by myself, I usually just like watching like a cartoon that's like 15 to 30 minutes, like some non-serial shit, just pop in, get my laughs and whatnot.
Can I, in all seriousness, can you please watch this for me?
All right.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to watch.
That looked like it took so much effort for you to say.
I'm going to watch one season of Atlanta.
Fair enough. I will give you one season. And if you don't want to watch, there's only 3 seasons, and then the last one's going to be 4, and it's coming out when it's coming out.
The third season just came out?
Yeah, this past year.
Okay.
This isn't spoilers. There's a scene, and there's an episode where it's essentially like a what if. Uh-huh. What if reparations actually happened, and how would it work? And it's from the perspective of this white dude who... So in the episode, there's this landmark case where it's through DNA testing. It's like, okay, this person owned this person's family for so many years. They are now the only reason they're able to make as much money as they are is through that hard work of the other person's family. Mm-hmm. They have to give however much money, a crazy amount, to that person, black person. And it set this legal precedent that the ball keeps rolling. And so other white people who are not rich, but are doing well, who clearly, they get approached by black people who look into their ancestry and is like, your great whatever owned my great whatever. You need to pay, you owe me money. And it's so great. And there's this monologue at the end. Oh, God damn it, I want you to watch this so bad. This monologue at the end, or dialogue between these two characters, both white. And one of the guys is like, we don't deserve this. I didn't do anything. And the other white guy's like, well, what do they deserve? We're looking at slavery as this thing that happened in the past. And they're looking at it as this thing that is now. It's a monster that's still here. And maybe we do deserve this. And he talks about how through this the curse is lifted, that now when your daughter says she pulled herself by her bootstraps, she really did do that, and we don't have to be guilty anymore. We are paying we're repenting, and we're paying for this now, and moving forward from here we're cleansed, and it's beautiful. And I think it's so exactly what does need to happen is that white people need to have this moment. Because then we can't talk shit about them anymore. If they pay up, if they fucking repent for this bullshit, legitimately repent for it, then we will leave them alone about it. I want you to watch Atlanta.
Yeah, and you gotta. That's the other thing is something has to happen.
Yeah,
to where you're forced to confront the blatant hypocrisy of your station in this country. And for me, it all boils down, like, to me, this is the punchline. How are you going to tell me that it's important that we learn about history and then turn around and tell me that history doesn't matter? How can you, in the same breath, say both of those things? Why the fuck am I in school from first grade all the way through college learning about anything historically relevant, And then I'm gonna say, all right, so 400 years when that went on, it still matters today. And then you say, no, it doesn't. Like that, it literally makes. So how am I supposed to reason with you? And kind of going back to if we want to just get on our hate white people shit. Like how dumb do you think I am? How are you gonna tell me?
They think we're very dumb, by the way. They think we're stupid.
And then it's like, how dumb do you think that I think that you are?
Yeah.
I don't think that you that dumb. Get your head out your ass. It's okay because here's the wild thing, and I don't know if this is you got to be an enlightened person or you have to have the luxury of not having had to have worked and been in the rat race that is America to reflect on these kinds of things. But there's like all kinds of privilege. Like you have white privilege. Mm-hmm. We have male privilege.
Sure do.
We have straight privilege.
Sure do.
Like, and even marginalized people, and granted their privilege isn't like to the degree that even marginalized people have privilege. Mm-hmm. Everyone's got their own. And so for you to not acknowledge that is absolutely bananas to me. And it's also counterproductive. Yeah. Because it's so hard to tussle with the fact, like when I talk, I have like more platonic female friends than your average bear, right? Mm-hmm. So like I'm on the ground, I learn stuff. It is wild when I got to the point that I realized like, oh my God, like men are the bad guys.
Me Too movement. Did you learn some shit? So did I. Sorry, keep going.
And then like you learn because to men, we just like rape was the giant living in the hills. It was Bigfoot. It's like, well, I know it happens, but like probably not that much. And certainly not to anyone that I know or anyone that certainly. And then you find out as these conversations are being had that one, maybe two of your good friends have been assaulted or completely raped, or that you literally all of your female friends at least know someone who it's happened to, and and you don't even know what to do. And especially like in the comedy scene, you hear them talking about like guys saying this, guys saying that, and you get on like your cork board with your push pins and your yarn and stuff, and then everything leads back to the nigga in the center, which is just dude with a penis just being a bad guy. And now you have to rectify with the fact like, okay, I am not that person, but I am part of that group. And I am benefiting from the oppression that this person is putting on this entire group. What am I going to do with it? And at the very least, you can listen to the oppressed, the marginalized, and give them the benefit of the doubt from the perspective that I've spent 0% of my life being a woman. You've spent 100% of your life being a woman. I'm going to listen to you and assume that you have more expertise on this particular topic than I do. Exact same thing for white and black. All right? This racism is here. It feels like slavery is still like casts a large shadow, and I feel that shadow all the time. And it's wintertime. I would like to have the sun. And so many white people, I don't even like to say most people because I don't like to cast the net that wide, but it feels like most white people, certainly feels that way, will say, no, it's this, no, it's that. Are you sure about this? Are you sure about that? And they're not even pressed enough right now to think, wait a second, it's a very simple thought. I've spent none of my life being a black person. Maybe I shouldn't invalidate this person's feelings, and then we can have a conversation. Anyway, I don't remember how we got on that.
The end. It has gone over a little more than it usually is, but it was great, man. We gotta take my creepy picture.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. These are all the survivors of my podcast, or some of them. Let's do it.